have new sponsor Adobe. Our gold sponsors Amazon, AT&T, Authentic, Brightcode, Cisco, CSG, Edgecast, and Video. And Fast Soft, High Vision, iWinds, Ignite, Windows Azure, Kumu, Real Networks, Seawell, Teradek, and Exo Communications. Thank you all for sponsoring the event and helping making it possible. The Streaming Media West tracks A and B will be held in this room, which will be
for one
smaller.
24. Oh, is it already recording?
Well, they never told me to start recording, but I assume.
Yeah, it should be 85 minutes.
For one card?
32 gigs, 30, should be 85 minutes at 24.
Where am I? I don't know.
I'll have one other guy in this room. Yeah, I went out there and like, he's like, yeah.
We are also live streaming the keynote today.
Maybe I'll look at it with my camera.
Those will be available for on-demand viewing fairly soon after the keynote's completed. We are also going to be posting all presentations and slides on streamingmedia.com/west. In fact, the presentation slides from yesterday's workshops are already posted there today. So if you were at the workshops and would like to take a look at the slides, or if you weren't there and would like to take a look, you can do that immediately. Tonight we have a networking reception from 5 to 6 p.m. in the exhibit hall, which is right across the hallway from 5 until 6 p.m. We do have a place to power up devices on the show floor, sponsored by Edgecast. We have email stations on the show floor as well. Email stations sponsored by Clipstream. There is Wi-Fi available. We've got a number of Wi-Fi networks, all of which are named after flowers. So as you go looking for networks, try to find the flower with the strongest signal and log in using the password info today. That'll also be up on the screens throughout the day in various session rooms. We'll have morning and afternoon coffee breaks sponsored by Windows Azure. Those will also be in the exhibit hall. Tomorrow we're going to have a luncheon where we will be announcing the 2011 Reader's Choice Awards winners. That will be in this room, and you should have gotten a ticket for that luncheon in your registration package. And finally, we'll be doing a number of red carpet interviews, sponsored by Front Porch Digital. Those will be taking place in the exhibit hall, and we'll be talking to various speakers, attendees, and exhibitors, and posting those interviews online soon afterwards. Finally, we will be sending out a link to an audience survey on Wednesday at the close of the show.
I don't know how important.
Attendees who complete the survey will be eligible for a chance to win a Keynote Fire. So, with those housekeeping notes out of the way, it's time to move on to the first keynote. And obviously, we're talking about online video today. More and more, we're talking about delivering video to televisions and oftentimes via broadband connected devices. And gaming consoles like the PS3 are leading the way towards bringing video, over-the-top video to televisions. And so this morning we have Susan Panico from Sony talking about the PS3. She's going to begin things with a short video about the PS3. So Susan, I'll take it.
Oh yeah, just come give me a 10.
Listen up. I'm not coming back to the gaming industry to sell some watered-down, get grandma off the couch weak sauce. We're taking that sweet PlayStation gaming juice you've always loved, throwing it into an industrial-sized 3D HD access to online gaming for free centrifuge, and unleashing it in a 5-ounce form that could kill a centaur. So long live the kind of play that turns 5 more minutes into 5 more hours. Long live owning a TV that's worth more than your car. Long live what brought all of us to this party in the first place. Play. And I believe in that as much as I believe in my no-look flaming crossbow shot.
Very cool. Would you please welcome Susan Panico, the Senior Director of the PlayStation Network. Susan.
Good morning. How's everybody today? Great. Really?
Really? Great.
Well, I'd like to thank the Streaming Media West conference team as well as all of you for having me this morning. It's a little bit surreal. I live in Northern California, but I actually grew up in LA. And one of my mom's best friends was the event director here at this hotel while I was growing up. So I got to come here and see Ronald Reagan speak and attend an Oscar party. And it's kind of like going back to Disneyland as Computer Entertainment, where I was part of the team launching the original PlayStation. We introduced CD technology to gaming and went on to sell 120 million units worldwide. Later in 2000, we introduced the PlayStation 2. With DVD technology and exceptional graphical capabilities, PlayStation 2 revolutionized the way people gamed. It introduced prolific game franchises like Grand Theft Auto and God of War. But more importantly, it became one of the fastest DVD devices in America, with over 150 million units sold globally. In 2005, we introduced the PlayStation Portable. This allowed us to take our entertainment on the go, and that went on to sell 70 million units globally. And then in 2006, we launched the PlayStation 3. The PlayStation 3 was like the Ferrari of gaming systems, and it had a price tag to match. One of the challenging things at the origination of the PlayStation was how to penetrate broader than our hardcore audience. But here's the thing, the PS3 has a built-in hard drive, it has built-in Bluetooth, a built-in Blu-ray disc drive, and built-in Wi-Fi. And with that was the advent of the PlayStation Network. So the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Network allowed us to deliver content over time. And the PlayStation Network now, with additions like, for example, becoming the first 3D movie device in the living room, we're able to add new features and functionality to deliver a 10-year life cycle. There's not really a lot of devices out there that actually appreciate over time. When a lot of people might trade their devices in every year, 2 years, or even 5, the PlayStation 3, because of the PlayStation Network, can realize that 10-year life cycle. So a lot of companies talk about being on the path to total media convergence. My little humor, sorry. But I truly believe that there is nobody better positioned than Sony to achieve true media convergence. Sony has a great marriage of hardware, software, media, and network services to bridge all of these together. And specifically as it relates to PlayStation 3, we're able to transform the living room from a lot of devices to one device that uses the PlayStation Network to bring all of your entertainment needs into one destination. So when we set out to launch PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Network, we wanted to define the aspiration and look at the vision. We wanted to deliver an entertainment experience that would boast movies, games of course, TV shows, music, original programming, and tie it all together with community. And I have to admit that when we launched PlayStation Network back in November 2006, all that was there was online game playing functionality and less than 20 games in our PlayStation Store. And now I'm really proud to say that we've accomplished a lot. We have more than 5,000 gaming selections available. Our own video service has more than 40,000 movies and TV shows. We offer a ton of premium service partners like Netflix, Hulu Plus, Vudu, and Cinema Now. We also offer streaming sports via MLB TV and NHL, and have a great partnership with DirecTV's NFL Sunday Ticket. We also achieved our original programming vision, and with this, PlayStation Network acts as an ever-changing and ever-growing entertainment hub for PlayStation devices. So with that, we had to learn a few things along the way. We've done a great job at being a gaming company, but one of the lessons that we learned was this. We had to transform the way we think into a media company. There is no longer a box to sell or a game to ship. We had a 24/7 entertainment multiplex, and it was time to change the way that we approached our business and think differently. So first, in how to act like a media company, which I'm sure a lot of you in here know, but we wanted to start with who was the most important, and that was our consumer and our audience. Second, we have the saying in our industry where content is king. And content strategy is really important to the longevity of your engagement with your audience. And lastly, we want to make some money along the way. So these are the three areas that I'm going to focus on in my presentation today. So can you give me a show of hands, please? And how many of you here consider yourselves to be gamers? Okay, great. Now, how many of you play games on a smartphone, PC, or tablet, like Angry Birds or Words with Friends? There we go, as I suspected. So a long time ago, people thought of gaming as something that a teenage kid did in the basement of their parents' house. It was kind of a geeky hobby that people might talk about. But as I shared with you our legacy in gaming in 15 years, PlayStation legitimized gaming as a form of entertainment. And now that games are accessible on a lot of other devices, we've seen that the world of gamers has grown exponentially. In fact, PlayStation Network boasts 80 million accounts worldwide. In the 5 years of PlayStation Network, that translates into one account every 1.9 seconds. And the other thing that we learned about our audience is not only do they like games, but there's a gamer lifestyle that includes movies, TV shows, music, comics. They're media junkies. They have an insatiable appetite for all different forms of entertainment. And PlayStation Network is going to serve as that digital entertainment hub to bring it all to them. But what we also found out was that this is a very engaged audience. Because of that insatiable hunger, they just couldn't get enough. So on PlayStation Network, 76% use an aspect of PSN weekly. Whether that's Netflix, games, or Facebook, they use an aspect at least once a week. 2/3 of our audience games online at least weekly. And we've also learned that the audience engages with 3 different touch points across the network on any given week. So that's a lot of use on PlayStation 3 and your PlayStation Network. And again, we are really happy at that with PlayStation Network. We can deliver all of these things and keep a really engaged audience. So like I said, content is king, and your content strategy is really important. Content boils down to 2 things for us. One is choice, but it's not just mass choice, it has to be relevant choice, and giving the consumer a lot of relevancy within their media consumption. And the second part is curation, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. So how many of you here have a game console at home? Oh wow, that's great. How many of you use it for something other than gaming? Okay. Well, that ties into our research that I just want to share a few excerpts from here. 1/3 of console time is spent not playing games. 23% of console owners use a video-on-demand streaming subscription service. 50% of Netflix users use their service on a game console. And during the next 12 months, the biggest increase of video viewers will come from males 18 to 34. And that is right in the sweet spot of the PlayStation Network demographic. So I'd like to talk to you about Sony's own video delivery service, Video Unlimited. With Video Unlimited, as I mentioned earlier, we have 40,000 movies, and we're studio agnostic as well. So we offer movies and TV shows from all of the different studios in high definition, as well as 3D content. The other added convenience of our own video delivery service is that it uses the PlayStation Network wallet or our virtual commerce system. So that also ties into the purchases that our consumer uses for games through the PlayStation Store. We also recently introduced a new innovative way to search for your content. Video Unlimited is powered by Gracenote, so the amount of metadata in there allows movie buffs and people that are just interested and curious to dive into deep, deep journeys of discovery about different kinds of movies and every single facet around those different movies. But in addition to our own video delivery service and going back to choice, we know that our gamer has sisters, moms, family, friends in the household as well. So we want to offer that consumer choice, and that's where we offer the premium delivery services that I mentioned earlier, like Netflix, Hulu Plus, Vudu, and Cinema Now. But the one thing that's different with PlayStation Network is that we don't charge for access to our service. We don't gate all of this choice and all of these options behind a subscription to PlayStation Network. The access is free. So I'd like to run a quick clip now, if I may.
Dude, I just hooked up my new PS3. Yeah, I got Resistance 2 on the new motor, so see you 10. Hey.
What's that?
It's new movie downloading machine.
That's a PlayStation 3.
No, look, Hancock, Dark Knight.
Or 51st Dates.
No.
Now you can download files of your favorite movies and TV shows straight to your PS3.
So as we know, we want to offer a lot of choice to our male demographic. We know they're sports fans. And so we wanted to bring them the premier sports leagues to PlayStation Network. And we've partnered with MLB TV, NHL Game Center Live, and DirecTV's Sunday Ticket, NFL Sunday Ticket. The DirecTV partnership was a huge win for both of us. Not only do we get great games, up to 14 in fact on any given Sunday, but DirecTV was able to reach an audience where they may not have satellite dishes on their buildings. So this partnership allowed us to bring new content to our audience that is very relevant, but also allowed DirecTV to expand their reach. So the next thing I'd like to talk about is curation. I kind of feel like curation has become this marketing buzzword, but it's actually something that we at PlayStation Network have been doing for a while. Again, we know our audience, so that makes bringing the right content to the audience very important. When we originally launched our video delivery service, we focused on irreverent comedy, action flicks, and something that might surprise some, anime. The gaming audience is very into Japanese anime, and our studio in Japan created an original Japanese anime series that actually lingered in our top 10 for several weeks, right up there with the Family Guy from Fox. So in our curation strategy, original programming was a very important tenet. And I aspirationally look at a great company like HBO. If you think about it, in 1975, HBO introduced the Ollie Frazier fight. And I'm sorry that we heard that Joe Frazier passed away yesterday, but we will certainly live on with his memory. But moving on, in 1983, HBO introduced the first original movie, The Terry Fox Story. And in the late 90s, they introduced pop culture iconic shows like Sopranos and Entourage. Now, by no means am I saying that we're going to be winning an Emmy anytime soon. But what was really important was to create original content that taps into a gamer life cycle that people cannot get anywhere else but PlayStation Network. It kept them coming back because we curated this content specifically for them. So like I mentioned, we started with the anime show. We later introduced an interactive high-definition digizine called Core. And Core is kind of like a video in-flight magazine that gives you an in-depth look behind the scenes of all the
blogs on Jeff Lincoln's style and photo covers in Untitled 3. Check out Modern Warfare 3. Review the top 10 games of October. And play more superhero style and new video releases. So join me, Christina Lee, for Pulse presented by PlayStation Network.
So thank you, Christina. The next original programming in our stable is called The Tester. So you may not be familiar with this, but I'd like to paint a picture really quickly. In the video game industry, the tester is a very interesting breed. So one day I was sitting in our lunch break room in a different building where all the testers are, and they had a lunch break, and about 70 of them came in. And these are all about 18 to 23-year-old young guys. Usually it's their first job out of college, and they just love gaming. And they found a way to make money doing it. But as I'm eavesdropping on all of these conversations, I heard one kid talk about how he got booted out of his parents' house because they wanted him to make it on his own. So he went and got a friend's boat, got a generator, plugged in his PS3 on the boat, and said that was all that he needed. And that's where he lived for several months. But the chatter here gave me the idea that, hey, it would be really interesting to create a show around the tester. So we created this show. It's kind of like Wipeout meets The Apprentice, where 12 competitors compete to win a position at PlayStation as a tester. We also hold a social casting call so that our community can vote on one of the cast members. And here, let me show you a clip from last season.
Coming to the PlayStation Network.
Welcome to the Tester Season 2!
These 12 gamers will be living together in a PlayStation paradise, all with the same single objective, to be the next PlayStation Game Test. Over the course of 8 intense weeks, they're going to be put through all new challenges to test their teamwork and, for example, their creativity.
You'll be creating your own video game concept.
And their gaming skills. Break. Each week, an all-new group of panelists will decide who goes home.
You don't do that with your leader. Goes to work all on my part. Simple as that. Why should we send you home? I'm sorry. You're getting it serious.
He's turning your back. Want it more than the person next to you? Take it.
You're stealing people's spots. Do you think that you deserve this over everyone in this house?
You want this as much as everyone else. Nothing safe for me right now.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Only one person will become the tester.
So yes, they were a fun group. We actually just wrapped shooting the Tester 3 this week, so look for that to air early next year. So a common theme with all of these shows is, again, that it taps into a gamer lifestyle. And we curated these around that idea and knowing our audience. And we've seen a lot of success. Pulse, for example, pays for itself in
I don't know which one
advertising.
was cheaper.
We break even on that.
Small.
Well, I think this one's cheaper.
And with the
I think
tester,
Westfield's
I like to use this comparison of when the
for
tester
ballet,
season
it is
2 ran late last year. Because at the time, our universe paralleled that with DirecTV. And if you look at how the tester performed in the same parallel universe, it's right up there with great hits like The Walking Dead and Justified.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess it's possible.
So moving on, I'd like to talk about one of the biggest differentiators of PlayStation Network.
Yeah, just do it during.
This is called PlayStation Home. PlayStation Home is a 3D social game platform that allows our community to come and meet each other in a virtual space. Gamers can meet like-minded gamers and talk about games. PlayStation Home is kind of like a theme park on our console. There's more than 200 games for people to come together and play. There's 24 million users worldwide, and listen to this. The average user session of a gamer in PlayStation Home is more than 70 minutes. So tell me if you know anything anyone does for more than 70 minutes anymore, besides maybe sit on the 405. So I could talk about Home for a whole hour, but I won't. And the part that's relevant here is how Home streams media and uses video content. had 7,500 logins per second to view the E3 press conference. Our community was ecstatic that they were able to experience a huge industry event. And let me show you a short clip.
Gotta make it in the front door at E3 this year. Pumped out the jam. This year, you won't have to. New for 2011, the virtual E3 booth returns to PlayStation Home. Preview the latest games. Earn virtual item rewards. Access to upcoming games. Get an exclusive look at the new PlayStation Vita system. You can be an E3 VIP right from your living room. And for the first time ever at PlayStation Home, watch streaming live footage for this year's E3. You may not be able to make the E3 this year. Lucky for you, buddy boy, you won't have to. The 2011 PlayStation E3 booth, available now for a limited time, only at PlayStation Home.
So another example of streaming media in PlayStation Home is seen in our sports-themed district within Home. We have partnered with Stats Inc., who also powers the Yahoo Sports ticker, so that our users are never away from the action, and they can get streaming sports stats and video highlights at any time. Another cool thing in PlayStation Home is something that one of our Sony sister divisions did. They're called Loot. And they created an apartment in which you can invite your friends to your personal space or this apartment and socially, virtually, together view streaming video and movies. This is a very cool thing. If you think about it, a lot of us are used to watching video one-to-one with our computer or on our smartphone or with a tablet. But now you can socially view movies with your friends. It makes for a very fun movie night. So PlayStation Home helps us add a lot of social currency and word of mouth. It's really simply brilliant, and it's something no one else in our industry can do. So I have a friend who has a 13-year-old son. And he went up to his son's room, and he saw him there on his computer, texting a friend, TV on with music videos, music blaring in the background from the stereo, and he said to his son, "What are you doing?" And his son looked over at him, and he kind of shrugged and said, "My homework," kind of like as if. And we know that everyone's multitasking these days and tasking our senses. But that's what's great about PlayStation Network. So if you think about it, in the day in the life of Joe Gamer, he might be playing a blockbuster hit like Uncharted 3. He could be playing this game for 4, 5, even 8 hours. And then maybe he needs a little break and he pops into PlayStation Home, where he could go find a friend to find out how he could beat that last level that he just spent an hour sweating his knuckles on. Or he might want to go to our video delivery service and watch a movie. Or maybe he'll invite his girlfriend over, who he just dissed for the last week because Uncharted came out, and stream a movie with her. He can also stream music, or again, on any given Sunday, watch up to 14 NFL football games in HD. It's all there, and there's tons of it. So some may say that there's an arms race for entertainment partners. Again, there's that holy grail quest for total media convergence and stacking up as many partners as possible. But what is really unique to PlayStation Network is that our partners are able to achieve premium states given the technological prowess of PlayStation 3. So for example, Voodoo boasts 7.1 Dolby surround sound and uses the Move controller for motion-controlled navigation of its service on PlayStation 3. Netflix introduced 5.1 Dolby surround sound first on the PlayStation. And we partnered So our approach to curation has been to deliver the right content to the right audience. And this is again how we've shifted from being a gaming company to a media company. So a lot of us are in it to make money. Of course, Sony is a for-profit company. But one of the things I like to think about is that with our consumer, they did pay a good chunk of change for the PlayStation 3. And we don't want to betray that relationship. So first, we must win the hearts and minds of our consumers, and then the money will come. We've tested a lot of tried and true business models, whether that's subscriptions, pay-per-view, rental, buy-to-own. But there are new frontiers to conquer and challenge traditional business models as we know it. So one of the things that we know, as I was talking about earlier, is that we have a very highly sought after male demographic, 18 to 35. And one of the things that was really challenging while we were setting up our ad sales business and looking at PlayStation Network as an ad platform was that a lot of ad agencies traditionally look at digital media as CPMs and CPCs. But when you have a platform where consumers are highly engaged, using multiple touch points, and spending 70 minutes, we sought after a new metric, and that was engagement. Engagement translates into time spent, and the amount of time that your consumer is spending interacting with your brand. We have an extended sales force in one of our sister companies, Sony Pictures Digital Ad Sales, and they have told me that in speaking with a lot of our brand clients, that people are now moving the money from their emerging media budgets over to their digital budgets and are looking at consoles as a very innovative and integrated way to engage customers on a one-to-one level. And we've seen this with brands sponsoring mini games that we've created from scratch, sponsoring free downloads of games to give away, and creating events in PlayStation Home that allow them to reap rewards. Another thing that we've learned with PlayStation Network as an ad platform, that your ads should be content. Your ads can be entertainment and content within themselves. So it's really important to create these brand engagement experiences that allows the audience to have full interaction with any brand. It adds a lot of value to the advertiser, but at the same time, we're giving something back to the consumer. And in just 2 short years, we've been able to build a roster and a great stable of advertisers from globally recognized brands. And in fact, we've doubled our year-over-year revenue growth during this time. And again, what we have learned, thinking as a media company, is that advertising can be content. It can be immersive and gamified, and that gets us deeper engagements with the brands, which translates into revenue streams for us, but more importantly, great content for our audience. So in conclusion, PlayStation Network is a very powerful entertainment hub, spanning games, movies, TV shows, music, sports, comics, and much, much more. PlayStation Network offers us a very direct, personal, one-to-one relationship with all of our users. But what's more powerful is with our social capabilities, it's really a relationship of one-to-one to many. And that is something that really makes PlayStation Network different, is that with all the entertainment experiences, this is all binded by community. So, what's next? Well, PlayStation 3 is that magnificent Trojan horse in the living room. It allows PlayStation Network to act as an entertainment hub. And the magic of PlayStation Network is that it does and will transcend device whether it's on a PlayStation 3 or on the upcoming PlayStation Vita, or cross-platform on Android devices via PlayStation Suite, PlayStation Network pulls all of this together and focuses on our hero, the gamer. And in the future, we'll see one universal ID that transcends all PlayStation devices and ultimately Sony devices that brings all of this content together in one place. So with that, I would like to say thank you. I'm really excited that I had the opportunity to speak to you about something that I feel very passionately about, which is PlayStation Network, and the opportunity that the console industry has to help grow the video and streaming video industry. So with that, I am going to open it up to a few minutes of Q&A. But I would also like to ask that you don't bolt just yet because we have a little surprise at the end. So thank you very much. And are you coming? I'm really sorry that you had that experience, and I'd be happy to talk to you right after this presentation and show you how you can get that fixed pretty quickly.
Do you mind going over, when you started creating this original content, what were some of the conversations you had internally and perhaps some of the hiccups that you had? I imagine there's a number of us, including us, that are maybe going down this pathway and curious what you learned as you did it.
Sure, thank you. That's a great question. So we learned a lot, and we're still learning, to tell you the truth. When we introduced the anime show, we've always known that there's a small cult following for anime, but we were really surprised at how well that took off, and now we have a lot of anime partners. But in creating our own video content with Core, we made the assumption that if you put something and make it interactive and in high definition, that our audience was going to eat it up because they're highly engaged. And one of the things that we learned quickly was that when sometimes the longer format with things like behind the scenes return those stories on a weekly basis. So that's another area we'll be moving to. But I also want to say that it does go back into, we did a lot of research, focus group testing. We went out there and asked people, what kind of genres do you like? What kind of entertainment do you like? What are your favorite shows? And that helped us formulate our content strategy.
Yeah, hi Susan. Great keynote. I'm over here.
Oh, hi, thank you.
So I just wondered, what's next? Will I see TV and live events and pay-per-view and all my catalog on my Blu-ray player, my Vizio TV, and on PS3?
Well, we're always looking at how we can improve, move forward, add services. I just want to reiterate that we do also want to make sure that whatever we bring on is relevant to that audience. Everything that you mentioned there is a possibility, though I'm not here to make any formal announcements or anything. But just as you can imagine, we're always looking at expanding the content library, expanding our partners, and expanding the technology, and that's what PlayStation Network does a great job of, is bridging and adding those services.
Would you compare or contrast your approach to the Microsoft Xbox approach?
I'm so sorry, I can't see. Oh, okay.
Just
Sorry.
We're going into the camera.
So, I think there's a few things where we really differ. And the first major one is that PlayStation Network is free to access. We don't gate all of these partners and services behind a subscription. And one of the benefits of that is that you can see that we have, almost triple the audience size or triple the accounts than our competitor does. Another important thing for us, again, goes back to the content strategy. And whether this is across games where we fund indie developers like that game company and bring out content that you can't get anywhere else, you move that strategy from gaming over to video as well. So it's about delivering content that maximizes the technical power of PlayStation 3, which is far superior than that to our competitor, but it's also about finding content that you're not going to get in other places while balancing that with a lot of choice for the consumer. Okay, two more.
Hi, I was curious, in your transition more to a media company, what kinds of things in the enterprise did you have to think about differently or organize differently in order to have so much original content, original programming? You're not just taking someone else's, like Netflix, for example, and streaming it through your player, but now you're having to curate, you're having to store, you're having to distribute, as well as create original programming. What kinds of enterprise issues did you confront?
So I like to think of PlayStation Network as a startup with a rich uncle, my Uncle Sony. So when we started 5 years ago, it was a little challenging, to go to our top executive management and say, hey, we want to make TV shows, or, hey, we really think that this feature might be cool, or that feature would be cool to bring to the community, or introduce something new like PlayStation Home, and really needing that back end to run that engine and building that community platform. So I'd say, the challenge was we had some financial backing, obviously, because we're Sony, but again, it was getting mostly the people resources to do a lot of the things that we wanted to do, because we were used to making games and weren't used to running a 24/7 service. And trying to explain that you need head count to keep the lights on here, or you need head count to create your own original programming, was probably the biggest curve that we had. But they got over that curve pretty quickly when they saw that we were making a lot of money. Sure.
Hi. Just a quick question around ordering. So Microsoft is working with partners to extend services like TV Anywhere onto the Xbox platform. Are you offering something similar, or is there a recommended path to integrating and partnering with MSOs and broadcasters for their services onto the Sony network as well?
So So, as I mentioned, we're always looking at other opportunities to bring partnerships like that to PlayStation Network. Our partnership with DirecTV is a really good example of how we partner with them to bring the NFL Sunday Ticket to our audience, but as I mentioned earlier, allow them to reach consumers that may not have a satellite dish on their apartment building or dorm room in college, you know, for example. So DirecTV is a really great starting point for us in moving in that direction.
We have time for one last one. There's a gentleman over here who had his hand up pretty much from the agenda, so.
It had to do with the partnering also at the Microsoft Home, where you're doing streaming and that sort of, or excuse me, PlayStation Home, doing Microsoft back and forth comparison. But the PlayStation Home, one of my clients does live streaming events, you know, good viewership, already has gaming on your platform. Is that something that you're interested in looking at?
Sure, we're definitely interested, and I'd be happy to get any business cards and pass it along to one of my team members who runs the PlayStation Home team.
And Susan did mention to me before the keynote that if you do have a question you didn't have a chance to answer here, feel free to bring your business card up, correct, and you'll do your best to answer it afterwards. And as you said earlier, you got a bit of a surprise.
Right. So this is a little bit fun for me. I'm going to play Oprah or Ellen, but one of the things that we did is we created these special Streaming Media West branded PlayStation red PlayStation 3s up here. And two of you have a piece of paper under your chair where you could be the lucky winner of these very unique PS3s.